Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of Cooking with Unity. I'm your host, Maximilian Moreau, and with me is Jeffrey Hawthorne. Everyone say hi.
Hi.
We can't hear you, but do it anyway. I don't know what to do with my hands. Phil may be here maybe here later too. Again, long hours. So our last exciting episode, which happened so long ago. Where do we want? There we go. We were working on our little vertical scrolling shooter, and we'd planned to finish off the laser and then go on to options and bombs. We didn't actually end up finishing the laser, but so today we're gonna wrap up the laser, make it do some damage, and then get to options and hopefully get to smart bombs. Smart bombs are easy, so I'm gonna save that for last. We can probably just throw it in. Options, I'm actually interested in seeing how we end up implementing them. So, what are we doing? So, design level 2. So, on our test level, I think is what we were using for testing our laser system, because this has a couple of brain-dead AI creatures that we didn't... creatures. You know, it's all interchangeable in games. Characters, sprites, creatures. These guys are spaceships, but they might as well be creatures. But yeah, so we turned off their AI, and now we can zap them. And so if we get close enough to them, we'll hit them, and if they're close enough to another guy, it'll chain off. And right now, it just has a cool lightning effect, though it's very pink. We'll want to fix that, and we also want to make it so that this actually does some damage. So I'll get this over with sooner rather than later, so that we can move on to some other things too. So if we go on to our player, we've got our Bezier laser as a mount point here. And we're currently using the cubic Bezier chain. We're just going to keep it at that. And and this is the laser which actually controls it and does the various calculations that we want to do. So we're going to open up this script. I'm going to close this program. And what we want to do is, first we want to make it so that this only happens when we actually hit the fire button. So let's make it so that all this huge stuff only happens if get button. Let's put it on fire 1 for right now. So if we are holding down fire 1, then we will do all of these wonderful little things. And if not, we won't do anything. So if we hit play right now, so I think we've got our other beam weapon on fire 1 as well. But so if we get close to the enemies, nothing happens. Okay, they actually died from the first beam thing. I'm actually going to turn off our main player barrel right now, so we can test this. So there we go. It works. Although we can see that we have a bug here related to this. So our bug is that when we are done shooting, or before we've started shooting, the laser just keeps its previous position. So that's because we still have the object in the scene. We're not actually stopping the way that it renders if it's not being used. So what we will do for that is we will just add a little else statement here. Else. So if we're firing, do all the crazy stuff to make that Bezier thing work. And otherwise, we are going to just disable the line renderer. That's what it's called, right? What is the piece actually called? Line renderer, yes. Okay. So we will get component line renderer dot enabled equals false. And we will additionally put this up here and set it enabled to true. And what I'm going to do is I'm not sure if it will let me do this. I'm going to try, though. Okay, so I'm going to disable the line renderer here. So if we hit play, nothing happens, and then we go up to enemies, and we hold down the shoot button, and it shoots, yay! Now, one thing that I don't like is it doesn't have a default shooting type of animation. I don't think we're going to fix that on this episode. So if you're out of range, it just doesn't really do a whole lot of... We might have to add like a little particle effect or something that shows like we're charging a laser or something. If we were going to model it completely after Raiden 2, we'd want to have it actually just shoot a straightward beam, and we might do that as well. But just making it so that it looks like you've got like some sort of arc generator going on the ship might be enough. So let's do damage next, and then we'll art it up a little bit. So right now, when update is called here, it looks for enemies, change between the enemies. What we're going to add to this is we're going to add a "we're hitting you" message to this that the enemies will pick up on and then take damage. Now we're using some basic stuff for the enemy health stuff. So what we're doing is we just have a... for these guys, it's really, really simple. They have... if they get hit, they just blow up. And that's all they do. Did we... I thought these guys had hit points at one point.
Some of them do. There's a separate...
Yeah, let's see. Prefabs, enemy 1, enemy 2. Oh yeah, enemy health. Okay, so the other one that we sometimes use is the enemy health script, which lowers the health when they trigger. I'm probably going to graduate all of the enemies to use enemy health instead, because we can use enemy health 1 and it'll work the same as Gibbon trigger, and that way we can wrangle this to be used with our Bezier laser, which doesn't actually have a hitbox related to it. This one just will hit enemies that are within its range and it's jumping to. So what we should do, let's see, initial health, integer. Tempted to change that to a float.
I think we're going to either have to change it to a float or make it so the laser only ticks
Yeah.
every certain number of frames.
Yeah. Because the minimum amount of damage would be 1 damage per frame, which is 60 damage a second, which is a lot. That's a lot of damage. All right, so first I'm going to annex this little thing and put it into its own function. So we're going to call it public void take damage. And what we're going to do is we're going to put all of this in here, and we're going to modify it slightly. What I want to change is I want to make it so that it doesn't necessarily take 1 damage from things. We will have it take damage based on the message that we send to it. We'll still default to just standard projectiles that have impacts to just doing 1 damage like we were doing before, but that might change as we develop the project as well. So what I'm going to change here is instead of current health minus minus, we're going to do current health minus equals, and we're going to use a new variable here called damage amount, and then we're going to actually take a int damage amount, and then in here, when we do an on-trigger enter, we still want it to behave as it used to, so we will just call take damage. We don't need the declaration here, and we will give it an amount, and in this case it will just be 1. So now what that means is we can start actually doing damage to the player. I am actually going to make this float now, though. Let's do it earlier rather than later. Float, initial health, default at 10.0 F. And so that'll work, except for we want this to be a float. And so this will need to be a floating point value. And what else are we doing? That should do it.
There's an int current health.
Where's that? Oh, thank you.
And start. I'm not sure what it's used for. Though.
Yeah, initial health is just what current health is actually what stores all the data. Initial health is what your tweak value is.
So initial health could still be innate.
Theoretically, yeah, but I'm gonna make it a float, just in case we wanted to set it to floating point value. I guess I don't know. It doesn't really matter. So, what are we doing? Oh, I'm good. Yeah, volume is good. So now that we have this, we can save that. Let's make sure it compiles. It did not. Cold does not exist in the current context.
Oh, you
Oh,
didn't pass the
yes, because, yeah, so we need to have where we're instantiating the hit effect in this logic.
call. Collider can be null, though, I think, can't it? So make a default value for a collider of null.
Yeah, wait, can collider be null? I don't think it can. Like, how would you have a trigger enter if the collider didn't exist? I mean,
Well, you'd have to check and see
there's
if the collider is...
There's a chance that we wouldn't... Okay, so we need... What this actually wants is a position, right? So we're going to give it a vector 3 position damage position. So the reason we used cold.transform.position is because it made it so that wherever the laser was hitting, that's where the particle effect would play. We're still going to use that. We're just going to put damage position here and then feed in this into our function as a new value. And thank you. So
No,
wait,
next
yeah.
one. There we go.
Oh, I deleted the wrong thing then. Why did I do that? That was stupid of me.
No, there was a
Oh, there's
cold
two of
transform
them.
position up there, too. The hit
Okay.
effect, and then that's a death effect.
Oh, okay,
Two
got
different
it.
effects.
Got it. Actually, the death effect should probably take transformed opposition, because then it'll originate from the center of the ship when it blows up. So I think that's more appropriate, at least. So we got damage position.
That should be down
Yeah.
there, not up.
What am I
Yeah.
doing, man? Thank you. Confusing the audience is what they're like. What is Max doing? All right, so
Maybe we should check and see if they have asked or said anything.
yeah, good point. Good point. We don't have anyone on that task today right now. So new tab. No, don't actually show anything. All right, woohoo! First post, 0th post. That's a lie. Get logo.
Mainstream turn on.
Turn the cell phone off. Watching from Siberia. Bears and vodka. Awesome. I've heard that it is always cold in Siberia. Stay warm. Oh, and now everything's refreshing again. Because YouTube is awesome. Alright, cool. Well, thank you for joining from Siberia, and thank you all for watching, and no real questions yet, so that's good, I think. Well, maybe it's not good. Maybe it means that everything's so confusing that there's no questions. So the reason we separated this out into a separate function is now this is a public void, and we can actually call it from another function. So what we're going to do is on our Bezier laser, we want to do damage to the enemies that we're hitting. So let's see.
It should be down farther, I think. We're getting a list of... Oh, actually...
I think it might be two places. So while enemy length is greater than 0, beam transforms count. We might not have the right information here. Let's see. If nearest enemy does not equal null, enemy distance dot add. All right, so
that
enemy
is gonna be a good
distance. There we
place,
go.
yeah.
So where are we actually using enemy distance after that? Anyway. Okay, here it is.
But we don't have the enemy at that point. Do we?
Yeah, we already have gone through all of them here. So this has just the enemies that we're hitting. So what this is doing is... What is this doing? If it contains key... Oh, yeah. distance, and then it's using that distance for the... What happens if it doesn't contain the key? Oh, distance equals 0 in that case. Okay, so it just craps out. All right, so we can do it basically any time after this. We can start sending the messages to the enemies, or we can do it right in line with the enemy distance things that we're adding.
What would we use for a list of enemies if we did that after the loop?
We can use the keys from enemy distance or beam transforms, or maybe it's beam trans. Wait, what's beam transforms? Beam transforms nearest enemy dot transform.
Okay, I think that would work.
Yeah. Yeah, we have the game objects and enemy distances, and we have the beam transforms and we have the transforms and beam transforms. You can use either of those. Let's do it in here, because we're already iterating through the things here to unpack stuff. So let's go ahead and send the messages at this point. So what we can do is beam transforms I dot game object. We're going to dot send message, and we're going to send it what message? We're going to send, what do we call it? Oh, it has two. Oh, we can't use send message, can we? Or can we? Did they improve send message? Oh, we don't need a send message. We'll just call it as a function. So we'll do beam transforms I dot game object. Is beam transforms like a...
Oh yeah, I think send message does only take one object as a parameter. That's what you were thinking,
yeah.
Isn't it?
So what we can do instead is we can do .gameObject get component. Actually, can we do that just on this level? Get component, yes. So get component enemy health.
I think this is more efficient than...
It is. Then, well, the get component call is not great, but I think it is actually still more efficient than a send message call. Though it's probably closer to similar because we're doing the component call. If we had it cached, it would definitely be faster. So, what are we doing? We want our message, which is take damage. There it is. There, finally we're here. So we can do a damage amount, and let's set that in our laser settings here. So we're going to create a float, public float damage per second equals 0. Actually, let's make it, we want it higher than 1 damage per second, I would say. Let's do 5.0f. So we're going to go back down here, take damage per second times time dot delta time. This will give us our, delta time, not fixed delta time. This will give us our damage per second rather than damage per frame. And damage position will be at the position itself. So beam transforms I dot position. So in theory, this should give us damage on the beam. So it won't work on these guys because these guys are actually ghetto old enemies that use give on trigger. We're going to upgrade them to the new hotness, which is enemy health. So there's enemy health. I'm going to remove the gib on trigger. We're going to model these guys after the enemy 2s here. Let's see what these guys use. Enemy damage effect, enemy gib. Alright, so we want...
Just copy the component.
Yeah, good point. Copy component. Paste component values. There we go. And we don't want to load a particular level on death, and we'll leave them at 10 health for right now. I'm going to apply this to the enemy 1 prefabs, and in theory, we should now be able to kill these guys with our laser beam.
In about 2 seconds.
Null reference exception. I did something bad. If enemy distance dot contains key beam transforms dot game object, what happened here? Obviously, it's unhappy with our newness here, so
let's... It might not be getting the component enemy health.
Yeah, good point. So why might that happen?
What's the child? Maybe it's hitting the wrong thing.
This is the only thing it could be hitting because it has the box collider on it.
But it's getting it by tag.
Oh.
Or, oh, no, it's doing the physics overlap sphere.
Yeah. Alright, so let's actually see what the error is. Let's not do take damage just yet. Let's just see if this works. We're going to create a, what does this return? Enemy health. Enemy health. Enemy health equals. So, let's see what that does when we hit play. That didn't, well, it didn't cause any problems, but that didn't actually solve our problem. We need to actually print this out. Enemy health. Debug.log that. Alright, so was there any place where it was...
So there are...
Yeah, there's a bunch of nulls. Alright. So we'll just check for null. What were we doing before that made it so that we were safe on this? Are there some enemies in the scene that don't have...
Well, we were only using the transforms before. We weren't using a script or anything.
This isn't playing these guys, is it? Hold on, I'm just curious. Yeah, it's not. Alright, I don't want this to keep maximizing. So let's just make it so if enemy health does not equal null, then we do the thing that we wanted to do. Enemy health dot take damage. Alright, so well, it's definitely taking some damage, though we had some problems happen. So let's see what's going on here. So we're not getting null reference exception until it dies or tries to. So I think we have a problem with transform.parent.send message dead. Why does it have to send that to his parent? So if transform.parent does not equal null. What was happening here, I'm actually surprised this didn't give us a problem earlier, is we were sending a message up to up the chain so that if we had a spawner, it would destroy the spawner parent. But these ones don't have a spawner parent, so it was causing a problem. So we'll see if that fixes that. Yay, it worked. Now, what didn't work is it's not killing the second guy here.
You probably didn't get the new prefabs.
This is possible. Enemy health, enemy health.
Oh, we did.
Alright, so what are we doing that's causing this to go wrong? Seems like that should work. Alright, let's rubber duck debug this real quick.
It's not getting the hit particles either.
Oh wait, yeah, this list is a little different, isn't it? Because wait, what are we even using this distance for? Oh, okay, that's what we're using it for. So let's try actually not doing it based on the beam transforms. Wait, no. So the first one on this list is actually probably the player. I wonder if the player is actually getting a message, and then we're not giving it to like the last guy in the chain somehow. I'm just going to do this. I think this is going to cause some problems, but I'm just going to do this to see what happens.
Maybe that's where the null was coming in from before.
Yeah. That didn't solve it. Also, the other really weird thing is the fact that it doesn't work after the first enemy dies. That's actually really strange. If I get closer to this guy... Yeah, this guy doesn't want to take damage at all. Well, maybe he's not running the script and we think he is for some reason.
Put a third guy in, maybe it'll kill the first two and not the last one.
Yeah, let's try it. Duplicate. Oh, whoops, I just killed myself. It took a while to load it because I had to say game over. Alright, so if I do this, it's killing that guy, it's killing both those guys. Doesn't hurt that guy at all. I think we have some logic issues that we didn't realize we had. Because even after they're gone, we've got a problem. Or we have a problem that this guy doesn't work. Let's
duplicate him.
Duplicate him and make sure. No, that doesn't look to be the problem. So I'm going to delete this guy just in case. Yep, that's pretty proof positive that we have done something wrong here.
Oh, it's because we're only doing the transforms. Or wait, no. Yeah, up to the second to last in the list, because down here we use I+1 to get the last transform in the list to make the
gotcha.
line.
Gotcha. So let's use a different strategy then.
We might want to just move them.
Yeah, let's do it into here.
There, where we can use nearest enemy directly.
Alright, sounds good. So let's go ahead and just copy this, put it up in here.
And they can't see me pointing, so you might want to like mouse over.
Yeah, so where he was pointing was up in this area. We're going to do it when we're actually adding the enemies to the list rather than when we're reading the enemies' positions on the list. So this is going to be using slightly different nomenclature, though. We want nearest enemy here, and that may be all we need to change. So let's give that a shot. Oops. Oh. And we want nearest enemy dot transform dot position. I'm going to comment this, send damage message to applicable enemies. Save. Alright, so now, yay, all of them are getting hurt. One of them's getting hurt, two of them. Yay, it all works. Awesome. We have a new weapon. Yay. Save scene, save project. Alright, so cool. Last thing we want to do is make this just slightly less ugly. The beam right now is on our Bezier laser here. And the reason it's pink is because we have no material whatsoever set here. So we're going to actually want to use a material. So I'm going to go to materials. I'm going to create a new one for this. We're going to create a, let's see.
Material.
Yeah, material. Sorry, I was getting ahead of myself and trying to look for like a shader name or something, and then I wanted to collect shaders, so thank you for saying something. New material. We're going to call this lightning laser. And I think this will make it look really dumb, but I'm going to try it anyway. I'm going to use default particle, and we're going to make it self-illuminating, vertex lit. Main color will be, oh wait, we need to have, wait, why would this, we need something that has transparency, so let's go with vertex lit transparent. There we go. And we'll make the main color nice, pleasing blue or something. This is probably not going to look so good, but let's give it a shot anyway.
We might want to change the tiling and offset.
Yeah, yeah. So
the vertical so that it's not transparent at the beginning and end. Because then if it stretches out a lot, you kind of miss a lot of the...
Yeah, so wait, how would we do that? Just like
decimal points.
0.5 and
0.25.
Oh, 0.25?
No, 0.5
Oh, yeah.
and 0.25.
0.25.
Something like that, so that it vertically actually extends the entire
Okay, cool.
distance. Otherwise, you'd have a lot of transparency
So
at the
actually do
beginning and end, and you wouldn't
0.25
actually see it connect.
And 125. Let's try that. Or wait, is that how it works? No, that's not how it works. Okay, well, let's see how this looks anyway, and then we can tweak it a little bit more. So we're going to our Bezier laser, and we're going to drag in the lightning laser into the material element here. I'm going to hit apply, and now we shoot. Oh yeah, that's way too transparent. Oh, it's using it for the whole line. Okay. Yeah, we're not going to want to use that as a texture. We're going to want to have to set up a texture in the first place that's more set up for that. So right now we're just going to make it blue. I don't feel like arting things right now. That really doesn't look much better because it's just solid blue. Alright, fine. We're going to art something. So, new document. This does not have to be very big. Let's go with 64 by 64. That's actually still probably overkill, but... And all I'm going to do is we're going to just make a gradient. Most graphics programs have a gradient option, and that's what we're going to use. So where is the gradient window? To show gradients. There we go. So what do we want? We want it to be... I'll base it on this one. We're going to make sure that it has an opacity of 0 at one edge, and we're just going to do a linear gradient. And actually we want it to be white in the middle and clear on the two sides. And I'm going to make it wider by doing this, which just makes it so that the white stretches out a little bit more. So now if we put this in the center here, actually if we put it from one side to the other, there. Although I need to actually clear everything first. Select all, clear. And we're going to do this one more time. There we go. Save. Laser text. We're just going to save a copy as a PNG. The reason that we did it white is that way we can recolor it in game. So We're going to put this under... Where is our... Do we even have a textures folder? Wow. New folder time.
We have one in materials.
Textures. Oh, we do.
You just put textures in textures.
All right. Yeah, never mind. We'll just... Ignore me. All right. So we're going to throw this into textures. We're going to make this actually a texture. And hit apply. Alpha is transparency. And we're going to go to the player. Actually, we're just going to go to the lightning laser. Give it this laser text. Hit play.
Change the tiling. Actually, I guess the tiling probably doesn't really matter since it's uniform in the Y, but...
Well, that seems like it works pretty good. Has a little bit... You know, maybe I should actually do it so it's actually colored in the texture. Because then we could go, like, to white in the middle. I'm going to leave this for right now. We might play with it later. I want to actually move on to options. So, options. I should probably actually specify what I mean by that. In the Gradius series... Yes?
Submit the line... lightning changes to perforce.
Yeah.
Before starting a new...
Good idea. Good idea. That is a good good policy. P4V. That way, if we mess everything up on the second half of this episode, we have something we can go back to. This is not the one I wanted to go to. Want to go to that one. One of them. Alright, so we are going to go to planet. No, not planets. 2D shooter, right click, reconcile offline work. It's going to find all the files that we've changed on this episode so far, because we're going to do another check-in once we're done with options, and possibly another one after bombs. Going to reconcile. And then we're going to submit this. We're going to call this laser improvements, damage, and visuals. All right. Now we can move on to the next stage of our master plan. So we want to add options. So what I mean by options are, if we search for Gradius option, we get Yu-Gi-Oh! Because Yu-Gi-Oh! Has Gradius cards, but we actually don't care about that, even though it's important enough to have a card. But basically, in Gradius, you have these little mini circle things that follow you and fire when you do. And there are power-up that you can get so that you can increase your firepower. And they actually just snake around in whatever position that you previously were a few moments ago. And they just do this, and they just provide extra firepower. They can't be killed, though in some of the games they can be stolen. We're going to basically be doing something like that, just a little extra energy thing that shoots when we shoot and moves around in our path. So let's start by making a really ghetto-looking thing first. Let's just create a sphere. We'll just use that as our holdover option here. And it's okay to mix 2D and 3D. It's perfectly fine. You just don't want to mix 2D and 3D collision systems because they won't work. So like this has a sphere collider. I think we're using all 3D physics in this anyway, so it'll work just fine the way that it's set up. Though we don't want it to actually have a collider anyway, so we're going to remove that. And we do want a renderer so that we see where it's at. And I'm just going to leave it as default diffuse and ugly looking so that we'll fix it later, hopefully. And so what this thing's going to have to do is it's going to have to shoot, and it's going to also have to, what is it called? Follow the player. So the shooting, what we really are going to do is, how did we actually, so we set these up where they're off by default, and then we turn them on when we power up, Is that how this actually works? Yes. Okay. So, so we can make these as a power-up. If we really want them to duplicate the things that we currently have on our player. And so probably the best way to handle that would be... I think I'm thinking ahead of myself. Let's work on the movement first, and then we'll move back onto this. So we're going to create a C# script. I'm going to call it let's call it delayed follow, because this could be used in a variety of situations. So what this should do is we should have a public float, public int, no, float delay. We'll do 1.0 f. Wait, I don't actually want to do this based on time, do I? I want to do it based on movement, because so let's show you the features of these real quick. I'm gonna find a video real quick. Gradius video. I think any of them will suffice. I'm just going to mute the audio here, even though Gradius has a great soundtrack, even the NES version. So I just don't want to get far enough that this guy has some options. There we go.
Does it have a Konami code?
It does, actually. If you put in the Konami code in this game, it gives you 4 options: lasers and full shields and weapons. So these are the options. You can see when he's not moving, they don't move. But as soon as he starts moving, they move where he was before. And when you initially get them, I think... I'm actually curious what happens when you initially get them on this version of the game. I think it differs between versions of the game. So he's going to get one here in a second here. Okay, so it actually spawns where it would be if it was actually available. So you can actually probably assume that the data for where these things are always there, and they're just storing. So basically, they're storing the last certain actions, and then these guys have an offset. So how can we do that? So what we're going to do is, I'm not going to make it a delay based on time. We're going to actually make it a frame delay. And the frame delay will make it 60 to start. Now this does mean that this will be frame rate specific, which could be a problem if we were running on a more powerful or less powerful system. Though in this particular case it's not going to, because what we're using this for, and we're going to make this an int so that we don't get confused, what we're using this for is to actually figure out where to move things on a previous frame that we had been tracking. And if the frame rate jumps, they're going to jump as well, and that's appropriate. It's basically you just follow things on a frame per frame basis. I think it should look fine in any speed. So, but we're going to default it to 60, which I guess that means, oh no, it will have a problem, because it means that they'll be closer together on faster frame rates. Let's get something working first, and then we'll figure out the problems. So what we're going to do is, on every update, we're going to store the location of what we're following, so we need to have something to follow. So we're going to set this up as probably a tag would be appropriate, because we want it to follow the player when it spawns in the scene. Or we could just have them pre-spawned. Let's just pre-spawn them. They'll always be there, but we'll enable them when we actually get them as power-ups, and that way it'll be just like we saw in the video. So public game object follow object. Actually, I'm going to go with transform. And we are going to, I'll call it transform. So we're going to get our transform position and store it somehow. So
what about... I haven't played the game before, so maybe this isn't quite right, but it looked like they were always like a certain distance away from you unless you were traveling back over them or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, they do follow that position though. Like if you go and you stop and then you go back toward them, they'll go
forward and then back. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Because I was thinking you could just do distance from the player, and if it's over a certain amount, then accept that
then drag it around.
That won't follow them. That won't have the situation where you go back over them and they cross.
Honestly, we could do that. We could do that. That is another option. I'm going to consider that as an option while we see how this one works. I know that in Gradius itself, it actually is frame based, but that's because they were able to guarantee the frame rate on the systems that they were working on. So, so what are we doing? And also, they use slowdown in those games. They don't actually do nothing they do in those games is second spaced. It's all frame based. So, and that's partially because the systems were so low powered that they couldn't do a divide calculation for the purpose of doing that. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this the really ghetto way first, and then maybe we'll make it more fancy later. I'm going to make we're going to get using system dot collections dot generic, so we can make a list of things, and we're going to put in public list. What do we want? We want positions. Vector 3. Public list vector 3. Position list equals new list vector 3. And on each frame, we are going to store the last 60 things in this list. So what we will do is position list dot add. And what are we adding? We're going to add follow transform dot position. This isn't right either, because this should only happen if we're moving. I kind of want these things to work automatically. So I'm going to have
movement set up as axis, don't you?
Yeah, we do. We do.
You could check to see if the axis is not 0.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that'll work.
And the Phil is here. What up, y'all?
Phil! It's great to see you.
Yeah, sorry I'm so late.
It's okay, man.
We also haven't checked comments in a while.
Yeah. Do you have a comment checker? No. Okay.
Not a lot of comment checker. No, I literally just went.
Well, it looks like it's been very light today anyway, so.
Yeah.
Or YouTube's messing with me.
They're just talking about Siberia now. What now?
We've got someone watching from far, far Siberia with bears and vodka.
Nice.
Are the bears enjoying the show? That's what I would like to know. Actually,
so.
I forgot to ask that.
And are you?
And is the bear enjoying the vodka?
I would hope that both of those things are true.
All right. So if input dot get axis horizontal, and we'll do it on either axis. We'll do it by doing a cheat and just add them together. Input dot get axis vertical. So if those are greater than 0.0f.
But then if one of them is negative 0.23 and the other is positive 0.23.
Oh, good point. That will not work. Thank you for pointing out the folly of my ways. So we actually want to do both as individual checks.
It's unlikely, but over the course of an entire level, you could end up having them lag.
We want this to be
a very small amount behind or something.
Yeah. So position list.add, follow transform to position. So so we add that. Now we want to store however many that we need for our delay, right? So what we want to actually do is
should those be not equal to 0? The axis can be negative, can't it?
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Seriously. All right. So if input get axis horizontal, vertical. If we're moving the controller, we add the things to the position. So then, if the position list has dot count is greater than frame delay. Then we put ourselves... Okay, so what we do at that point is we discard the last thing in position, or the first thing in position list. So position list dot remove. And what we're going to do is remove at index 0. So that will remove the first thing in the list, because this is 0th item. And then once that is removed, we will set our position, transform dot position equals position list dot or position list 0. And theoretically, this should do what we want it to do. So I'm going to put our sphere, I'm going to start on our player just for right now. And we're going to call this an option. And we're going to give it our, what is it called? Follow. What did I call it? I think I called it follow something. Follow, delayed follow. There we go. That's why they have a text search. So we have the position list public. I don't care. We don't want to mess with it though. Private. Save. All right, and then we should just be able to play now. And if we move thing around,
put the follow transform in.
Oh, thank you. So we need to actually tell it that
You're
we're following
making options?
the player. Yeah, isn't that awesome?
Yes. Yes, it is. I think they follow too far behind.
Yeah, well, we can adjust that. Let's make it 15 frames.
Much better. Do they shoot yet?
They do not shoot yet. We can fix that very quickly. So first of all, I'm going to put this on the player and see if it still behaves. I'm not sure if it will. I think.
No,
oh no, it's not gonna. It's not gonna behave. Oh, it behaves after. Okay, so it behaves after the start there, because it actually starts moving. So what we want to do is, kind of like this to be in the player.
You could start the list and set it filled with the player's first position.
Yeah. Good point.
That way, every time you add, you'll be setting the position.
All right, let's do that. For I equal int I equals 0, I is less than frame delay. I plus plus.
How costly is the list? Because you could also do it with an array with an index, a current index.
Yes, we totally could.
Is the list not costly enough that it matters?
These days it really doesn't for this type of game, but we might look into that in optimization at a later point. I'm not going to worry about it right now. So all we're going to do is we're going to pre-populate position list.
Optimization.
Dot add. Follow transform dot position. So now when we hit play, it should start there and it should stay there. It did kind of move a little erratically. I'm gonna put I'm gonna do this in late update for the delayed follow.
Late update? Oh no.
So that means it should happen after the transform information has changed, and so you shouldn't see any jumping. Good. That looks pretty good. So let's make it so that we have more than one option. So bam, what we just do is bam, bam, bam.
4 of them, yes.
And then we put we just change one of these to follow
Or 15,
the other.
1 at 30.
No.
Oh, you could do 1 at 15, 1 at 30.
And then we use this one to follow. This one will follow this one. And this one will follow this one. So we hit play. Alright, that caused some problems.
That was
doing
weird.
it that way. I think it's because of the assumptions we made somehow.
Well, it's also losing accuracy when it's following the other ones, I think. It seems that way. It's a little jerkier than I expected. Why don't we just all have them following the player ship?
Alright.
Might be because you're using get access,
Yeah, maybe.
and so some of them start moving before the others.
Alright, so
Should
let's
be moving.
just set them all to player and see if that solves the problem. So we'll do player, and we will change it so that these have different frame delays. So this one will be a 30 frame delay, this one will be a 45 frame delay, and this one will be a 60 frame delay.
It's still kind of the same weirdness. It's probably just.
Is it the same weirdness?
Yeah,
Looks better to me.
yeah, it does.
Looks like it's working fine to me.
Alright.
Too.
Alright, cool. So there we go, and let's add weapons to this thing. So that's super easy. We're going to cheat. We're just going to give them all just a basic barrel for right now. So we're going to copy this.
Just a
Barrel?
basic Bezier laser.
Yeah. Yes. We will be murdering.
Phil hasn't seen the Bezier
No.
laser changes.
Yeah, let's give it the Bezier laser. Let's be fancy. Cuz I'm actually kind of interested to see what this does. We're going to create a empty child, and we're going to paste the
Is that like some kind of
an
philosophical
empty child.
thing?
Yes, it's such an empty child. Didn't use the whole thing.
You don't really need to use
Oh wait, I just needed to paste this. Never mind, and then drag it in, and then fix all the stupidness.
Why do we even have a rotation on the Bezier laser?
We do need a rotation on the Bezier laser, actually.
Why?
So, because it's where things shoot out of. Oh wait, it doesn't. You're right. It doesn't matter at all. It's because I duplicated barrel and made it a Bezier laser.
Because reasons.
Bam, bam, and
Bam, bam.
bam, bam. And we're gonna go in here and just murder things, or not. There we go.
Whoa.
Definitely worked.
Put their
Actually,
health
I
up
know
so
what
we
I want
can
to
see
do.
it a
I want to
little bit
put.
better.
I want.
Alternate them.
I want to make these actually additive. Why am I doing it this way? We should do particles additive, and we want them to be bright blue. Let's see what this does. Oh wait, I did that while I was playing it. Luckily, it still saved it.
The materials, the materials stay because they're.
So that's weird how they were reacting there.
The starting thing, yeah. I'm going to give it a little bit of the other colors so that when it multiplies together, we get some white showing up.
That's cool.
That was awesome.
All right, so now there is still that little problem at the start where they seem to...
Seems like when
I know it is
we are
because I move it at the start.
Yeah.
And so it jumps. That's actually expected behavior at this point because we're doing it frame-based. And so the
Yeah.
first frame, we're moving a whole lot because the delta time is just huge. So...
Yeah, that's expected. That's cool.
All right, let's apply this to the player. Let's save scene, save project, and let's actually look at one of our other levels and see if it works still, and mow through it with our ridiculous shooting setup.
Seems to work.
It has a little bit of a problem because we're scrolling things now, but
That's ridiculous.
I want to see the boss fight.
it's going to be short. Don't blink. Actually, it's kind of cool to have a really short range ultra laser, and you have to get close. Like we could shoot from back here, but we can't ultra. Oh,
It's
We
kind
can
of hard to tell.
also die.
It's kind of hard to tell if you're going to make it through because the options were kind of getting in view.
I kind of want to fix that problem that we have with them moving because of. Basically, if we stand still, it's recording the old positions that the player was in.
So
We have to
they're
try
gonna
using
jump.
local space, actually.
Yeah, this one might be a good case for
Let's
loco space.
try it. So what we're going to do is we're going to record... Now, the local position doesn't make sense, though. Because...
They'd have to be a parent of.
They'd have
or
to be a
it'd
sibling, yeah.
child,
Sibling.
children objects. Siblings of the
Yeah.
player.
They'd have to be in the same gameplay area, but not on the player.
So what if we recorded offsets from the player and then set the positions based on those offsets?
We can do that. That's a good solution. I'm going to do that real quick. So what we're going to do now is instead of storing the actual absolute position, we're going to store the relative position to the player. So the way we do that is instead of doing follow transform.position, we're going to do follow transform.position minus... Wait, we want it pointing... Doesn't matter. Because we have to put it... We'll just put a negative. We'll figure it out later.
Switch the addition or subtraction.
Yeah, follow transform... Wait, no. Transform.position. Transform.position. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing up here. And then finally, instead of positionless 0, we're going to do positionless 0 plus transform dot position. And now, if we hit save and we play,
Whoa.
we did something wrong.
It's because it's supposed to be frames behind, but now...
Oh, yeah.
So it would have to be...
Yeah, it's exponentially getting bigger because... Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm going back to what it was before real quick. Not that far. I'll save. Alright. We'll probably fix that one up.
Seems like a next week issue.
Yeah, we'll fix that one next week.
Maybe we should turn down the number of enemies that it can attack.
So
Wow.
it can't
At
jump
once,
as far.
'cause it's attacking, the entire
It's amazing.
row.
Don't make something up that's amazing not amazing. Look at that. That's awesome.
I like when you're in between
Yeah.
two groups and...
Dude, like, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, I still couldn't win.
You got too
This
eager
game's
there.
too hard. All right, well, we're going to wrap that. We're going to call that a wrap. So let's do the Perforce thing.
Perforce dance?
Yep. We actually did it once already because we were like, oh, laser's looking pretty good. Let's save
Perforce
this.
dance, yeah.
Laser's not looking terrible. Let's save
Yeah,
it.
yeah, that's actually probably a better term. Remember programmers who are prototyping stuff before their artists put stuff in, never make stuff good enough that the artist decides that it's good enough. You never want that to happen. Usually you don't have that problem, but like sometimes that happens and then it's like, oh, why does this look bad? It's like, well, no artist looked at it. It's like, oh, why not? All right, so what did we do? Options.
That's good enough.
Or multiple.
This was a good
We'll
episode.
call them options.
Yes, I liked this episode.
Aw.
Well, it wasn't because you were gone. That's not the reason I liked it. All right.
It wasn't until after you got here that the options actually finished making their way in and the laser got attached to them for the awesomeness.
So thanks for joining us tonight. I thought that was a lot of fun. So if you have any questions, please email me pushypixels@pushypixels.com. You can also tweet me at Dracfire. You should also buy Phil's game Robot Alone. It's for iOS. It's pretty fun. Get a high score. Beat his high score.
Yeah, that would make my day.
It
I
would
keep
totally
saying
make
that,
his day.
Yeah.
His day has not been made yet.
Yes. For like the 2 years that the game's been out, my day has not been made.
Your brother came close, didn't he? Or did he make
beat
your day
me at
once?
one point,
Okay,
man.
so you've had your day made once.
You shouldn't have gotten such a
But
high
then I
high
did
score.
a really good score. You can follow me on Twitter if you want to. It's at magmalemur. You could email me, philip@protosoftworks.com. Also, you should donate to Cooking with Unity.
Yep.
Donate to Cooking with Unity.
Anyway, thank you guys for joining us, and you have a great night.
Have an evening.